Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another session of Ask the Pediatrician Live. Today, August 24, 2019. My name is Mary Umo, and I'll be moderating this session. The topic for discussion today is sickle cell anemia. And I assure you, it promises to be very, very interesting. As usual, please share the video, invite your friends and family, let them come and join us and learn about this disorder. Remember, we have between now and 11 a.m. to learn about this, so please make the best use of your time. So we're going to give a little time to get people to join us for the show, and then we'll continue. So we'll start our discussion today, but like I mentioned earlier, please invite friends and family to come join us, learn about sickle cell anemia. Kindly post questions that you may have related to this discussion in the video on our watch party on our Facebook page under the comment section. Do not post any other questions that are not related to the topic. If you have any question non-related to sickle cell anemia, please post it on our Facebook group. Our team of professionals and moderators are available down hand to answer your questions. So we are going to start right away. Our facilitator for today is Dr. Salako. He is a consultant pediatrician. He will be coming here to deal on this interesting topic that has been bothering some of us, and I would like you to please listen and post your questions. Moderators, please help us copy the questions and post where on the live show so we can bring them up. So keep your questions down, keep your questions written down and post them as you get them. We'll treat them as they come up. We'll treat your questions. Good morning, Fatima Ochua. We are glad to have you here. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Salako, thank you so much for finding time out of your busy schedule to come and educate us on sickle cell anemia. We are glad to have you here. Welcome, Dr. Salako. Good morning, doctor. We are glad to have you here. You're welcome.
It's a privilege to be on your program. Okay. Sickle cell anemia is a form of sickle cell disease because it's under the big umbrella of sickle cell disease that has to do with a problem, an inherited blood disorder, where a mother or a father who has within their gene a trait we call either an AS or an SS when they meet and then they get married and then they have kids. They donate a particular gene, which is an S gene from the mother and a particular gene from the father, comes together and they give birth to a child who is an SS. This results in an abnormality in the blood membrane, the red cell membrane. That's the important membrane. This is the important component that carries oxygen, carries nutrients to the body cells, thus making the red cell easily fold on itself, so it becomes sickle. So the word sickle is from the fact that the cell easily goes into a C shape and then easily fall on itself and mitigate or inhibit the easy flow of blood and nutrient delivery to the different body parts. And then when this happens, it will result, because when blood doesn't flow, it's like you have you are in your kitchen and then you have a pipe that is supposed to drain waste away or supposed to drain water into a particular section, and then you get it choked up with a lot of fluids that it is difficult for the water to pass through. What happens is that the water will not deliver. The blood will not deliver the nutrients. Yes, blood flow becomes sluggish, nutrient is not delivered. And then because nutrient is not delivered, the body will start to look for how to produce nutrient on its own. And then it will result into pain, because when blood is not delivered, it will result into pain. It will result into other gamut of problems which are related with sickle cell disorders, sickle cell children or adults living with sickle cell. It remains a big burden in Nigeria, because Nigeria accounts for the significant population of the sickle cell world. In fact, it is known that about 80% of children, like on an average, 300,000 children are delivered yearly from sickle cell, and Nigeria caters for 80% of that 300,000. That is quite significant. Not because we are more sickle cell prone, but because our population, which is about 200 million, accounts for a significant proportion of this sickle cell body. So if the people who carry the trait in Nigeria, the AS trait, are said to be around 2 to 3%. And so when you translate that to numerical values, it's quite significant with our population. So that's otherwise, apart from sub-Saharan Africa, it's also believed that it's also known that people in the south, the Saudis also have a significant population. The Sicilies, people from the Philippines also contribute significantly, but predominantly it's from the African continent. And when people look at the origin of the spread of sickle cell around the world, it is easily traced back to the sub-Saharan Africa or the black Americans, who are primarily from Africa, and because of trade or because of slave or because of globalization, will have to move from the area of comfort to other part of the world. And so that's how, so the origin seems to still come back to Africa. The Saudis, the Mediterranean zone are also part of those who account for this significant body of sickle cell anemia. However, how do I know a child who has sickle cell? They have significant manifestations. They have manifestations that span throughout life, and the commonest manifestation is pain. They will have pain in their hands, pain in their legs, pain in abdominal, pain in the abdomen. So this we call painful crisis. That is the stigmata, is the hallmark of sickle cell anemia. Other manifestations is they could have the sudden drop in their blood, which you call it's also anemia, because when the blood level drops, they could come down with anemia. So it could be anemia, which is where is hemolytic anemia, when the child is breaking out excess red blood cell. Because part of the problem of sickle cell is that the half-life of their red blood cell is shorter than the half-life of those who are genotype AA. For example, a person who is genotype AA is when we have an average lifespan of the red blood cell to be between 90 and 120. In sickle cell anemia, it could go as low as 30 days.
Wow.
So precipitating the child to breaking down the red cell quicker. So when you now have rapid breakdown even below these 30 days, you say they have hemolytic crisis. You have hyperhemolytic crisis, where you see the child will be peeing what looks like Coca-Cola colored or blood colored urine, dark colored urine, red dark colored. The child will be peeing that kind of blood. The child will be pale. That's one form of anemia. They could also have anemia from the fact that, you see, the organs in the body, there is a particular organ, we call it the spleen. Its own function is a reservoir and is a filter system for the blood. So when the sickle cells, when they are predominant sickle cell, when the sickle cells sickle, because normally they are supposed to be biconcave, when they sickle in excess, the spleen identifies it as abnormal and then pulls those sickle cells off the blood. When that happens suddenly, the blood level can also go down, and then they will have what we call sequestration crisis, because the spleen will sequester, will take away the sequestration, the removal of what the spleen thinks is abnormal, and then will cause a sudden drop in the blood level. So they can also have sequestration crisis, which will also present like anemia, that drop in blood level. The other form they can have is for the bone marrow to all of a sudden go quiescent, and this is always associated with a particular with infection. Most is a viral infection which we call parvovirus. So when they have parvovirus, they can also have aplastic anemia, which however will run its course and fizzle out with time. So that's another manifestation they can have. Apart from that, because the red blood cells get to every other part of the body, they can have complications in any other part of the body. In the brain, they can have stroke. They can have stroke in the brain. So you see children, in fact, it's known that the commonest cause of stroke in children is sickle cell anemia. So if I see a child otherwise well and comes down with manifestation of stroke like an adult, the first thing I must think of is also check the genotype of the child. Is this child a sickle cell child? Because it's one of the leading cause of stroke. To the eye, they can cause sudden eye pain. You see the eye will prop out. They can also have sudden acute congestion of the eye. To the bones, they can have bone pain. You can even because of that impaired blood, they can have infection. So they can have osteomyelitis, infection of the bone. If this sequestration or if this blood flow blocks the blood supply to the lung, they can have what we call acute chest syndrome, sudden difficulty in breathing in these children. So it's also and these are life-threatening conditions that you have to act and act promptly. In the kidney, they can cause all sorts of manifestations in the kidney. We call it sickle cell nephropathy. That is the manifestations of sickle cell in the kidney is about 10. And all these sometimes most of the time these are preventable, and even when it happens, if you get to attend to this patient in time, they are also reversible. So how do a mother or a father who has delivered a sickle cell child and who has been confirmed as sickle cell first get along and ensuring the child have minimum crisis? The first thing one is to accept once the child is diagnosed, you have to identify a center, and there are centers in Nigeria where the management of sickle cell is people who understand what they need to do. Parents have to accept, you have to identify a center. Two, we part of what we tell them, because if the blood is not flowing well, we encourage them to take a lot of water. Fluid is not easy taking water. So what we say is they should diversify the water. Healthy drinks, that's milk drinks, they are healthy. So all we need is for the child to take a lot of water. On an average, 2 to 3 liters is what is expected in a day. So the child needs to keep water so that the child is hydrated, number one. Because the half-life of the blood red cell is short, this child will be producing red cell too quick. And if this production goes without the byproduct to produce, then you will not produce. Don't forget that these cells are not healthy. When you are not even producing more when you are not producing more on healthy cells, it becomes a problem. So we encourage them to eat food, to take routine folic acid, which is folic acid is important in the formation of red cell and other things. Vitamin B12 supplement is important in their nutrient, in part of we must supplement it. Iron is not to be taken. So any blood tonic, they say go and buy blood tonic and give your child. Anything that has iron in excess in sickle cell is not to be taken because you already have excess iron. It's the other product that they need to make the red blood cell that we need to supplement them with, which is vitamin B12 and folic acid. Because you are in a malaria zone, which is Nigeria, we also encourage the parents to take regular Proguanil, which is an anti-malaria to prevent. See, the malaria parasite feeds on the red cell. Somebody has a short half-life of the red cell. What will happen? The chasing is likely to break down quicker if it comes down with malaria. So when you take this Proguanil, it will help to keep mopping up malaria parasite so that you don't get high infection in the blood cell and the person will come down with a severe form of malaria. So Proguanil, folic acid, and regular vitamin B and adequate water. They need to be hydrated. And the other important thing is that they must ensure regular medical checkup. Regular medical checkup in most standard centers where they see sickle cell, they see them once in 3 months, once in 6 months, just to be able to follow them up and to leave all these problems in the bud before they come up. The other thing we tell them to do is because stroke is a big problem in sickle cell. And once somebody has stroke, then the person becomes debilitated for life. We don't want our children with sickle cell to become debilitated, to become dependent. They are already stigmatized with the fact that they are sickle cell. So when they have a stroke on a sickle cell, it's going to become a major problem. So there are measures to ensure that we can preempt and prevent them from having stroke. So they are supposed to have any child that is below 10 years old. We advise them at least, depending on the outcome of the result, to do what we call a transcranial ultrasound scan. That will tell us the velocity of flow of blood in the brain, and you can use it to predict the risk of stroke. And once you do this, you are able to monitor the child closely. The child is also not doing excess of activity. You can limit the occurrence of crisis in these children with sickle cell anemia. Hello, ma.
That is so enlightening. So Dr. Salako has told us many things as parents and caregivers that we have to do if we notice our child has the SS is a sickle cell child. He has said we should accept it, identify with the sickle cell center, and go for regular checks. He said we should take a lot of water. The child should take a lot of water. Take anti-malarial so that the child won't be having issues. Take Bico and folic acid. And then of course we need to try and make them not to do excessive, stress themselves too much. So this is really interesting, doctor. So now my question is there a way of preventing us from having a child or children with this disorder?
Yes, there are ways of preventing. The first thing first is that if I know I am an AS, if my genotype is AS, that is, before I get married, I must know my genotype.
Wow, okay. So when we know our genotype, what do we do?
That love must not be blind. Love has to be open in eyes. The eyes of love must be open to understand that if I am a carrier and I marry a carrier, then the chances of us having an SS2 child is higher. An SS mother should not marry an SS father. An SS mother should not marry, advisable, an AS mother or a father, because you know that the chances of delivering a sickle cell child is a lot higher. So what is advisable for us is identifying that, okay, I know my genotype. And so when I know my genotype, I must make my choice of a partner sensibly. That is the ideal way. The other ideal way, because abortion is not yet legalized in our country and is not a part of our norms and ethics in Africa or in Nigeria. The other way is that even if people finally get married and they know they are both AS and SS or AS or AS-SS, they can preempt the genotype of their child. Okay. Either in two ways. One is that instead of, they will go for what you call in vitro fertilization. They will get the egg of the mother, the sperm of the father, and type it and say, okay, this is AAAA or this is A and S. Okay, we can marry this. We can put this together to form a child. But that is highly financially demanding, highly technically demanding. But the support it's only for those who are rich and powerful, or those who can afford it. At this time in Nigeria, it's not yet available for everybody. The other one, they've already copulate, they have a pregnancy, they can determine the genotype of this child in utero by doing series of tests. But the big question is this: if you now know the genotype of the child that you are already carrying pregnancy, do you want to abort? Is it legally accepted? Is it morally accepted? So why it is even advisable not to get to that level before you take the decision on what to do with it, on what to do to prevent a child or having a child that is of sickle cell genotype.
Thank you, doctor. So ATPians, please send your questions in so that the doctor can treat them. We still have about 30 minutes to go. So doctor, we have a question from Miriam Bello. She's asking, how do I prevent subsequent attack on my child? Please, he has sickle cell anemia.
Okay. We can limit the number of attacks. You can only reduce, you cannot prevent absolutely subsequent attack. Because you should not forget that these things runs in a cycle. And so, but one way of limitation are those things that I've said. The other thing that I missed out, that is the adequate fluid hydration, regular use of vitamin B, and folic acid, use of anti-malaria, which is the Progranil, which you all know as Palodrin, knowing the limitations to avoid excessive activity, regular medical follow-up, And the other thing which I missed out is the new, is very new, but is gradually coming into medical practice. It's been in practice in the management of sickle cell anemia for a while now, but the acceptance has not been that of high level in Nigeria. It is the use of hydroxyurea. The use of hydroxyurea has redefined and modified children with sickle cell anemia. It's been shown, and even from personal experience and from enormous literatures available, both in the Nigerian world and the international community, this drug has been shown that when kids are on it and is adequately given in appropriate dose with appropriate monitoring, the chances of them coming down with crisis becomes to the lowest minimum, and they can live their life like every other child and with having minimal frequent episodes of crisis. So, but this has to be given under the watch, under the guide, and under the advice of a medical counsel. Not just a medical counsel who understands the management of sickle cell anemia and can do it appropriately. Because the challenge we have is that, yes, we have a burden of sickle cell anemia. Yes, there are centers that can manage sickle cell anemia. But you see, get to understand that there is still a lot of gap in the management of sickle cell anemia as you move from one place to another, or as you move from one region to another, or one hospital to another, even within the same environment, even within the same nation like Nigeria.
Thank you, doctor, for that explanation. Madam Mariam Bello Adamu, I hope you got that. So I want to ask, is it possible to live a normal life with sickle cell anemia? Say I'm a woman with sickle cell anemia. Can I have children, and live to maybe 80 years or something?
Yes.
By following all the
yes.
suggestions?
Now, we should first understand that the quantitative of life is to God.
Okay.
Even if I am not a sickle cell patient, how long I will live belongs to God. But
That's
we
true.
can ensure we live a quality life, because sometimes the quality life we live translates to a quantity life. That's the truth. So therefore, a sickle cell is not a limitation to old age, because it's there to manage, and once you can follow the instructions. So, but for example, like you said, if a child is, let's start from the childhood age, the child is diagnosed with sickle cell, you get an expertise, they follow up regularly, you obey the instructions that they are given. When you notice something you don't understand, you easily present to the hospital, is promptly managed and is avoided. The person gets to an adolescent, let's assume he's a lady, he gets married. That lady should not be managed by any big and hardy gynecologist or obstetrician. You have to see the obstetrician, you have to see a doctor, not an obstetrician, but cannot be managed in pregnancy by anybody who is just a doctor. You must be seeing a specialist. You must be seeing the obstetrician or the gynecologist who understands the challenges that the sickle cell anemia with sickle cell anemia in pregnancy, and can better manage these people, and so that when they go into labor, they can run pregnancy safe, they will go into labor safely, they will deliver safely, and ensure that they are there to take care of their children up to old age. So the management, the living to old age, is living in moderation, knowing and identifying your challenges and accepting those challenges, and following the instructions of the expert, and not taking instructions or lead into your own hands, so that you can live a better life. The biggest problem with the Nigerian system is that everybody assumes that they are a doctor. And then they will all want to manage ourselves. We must continue to define and redefine our roles and duties, and accept our limitations. When I'm not feeling fine, I should go to the right place. I'm a sickle cell patient. If I'm a sickle cell patient, what I need to do first, I'm not feeling fine, get to the hospital. Why must I patronize the roadside drug peddlers? It's not going to do me good, because they might not be attending to your problem as promptly or as appropriately or as relevant as it should be to the condition you are having.
That's true. That's true. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. So we have a question here from Raji. Raji is asking, But what is your advice for parents that are both carriers but have gotten two healthy children and want to have more? What's your advice?
Okay. There are fertility experts. If they want to have, then it's better for them to get fertility, the expert of gynecologists who are fertility experts. Like I said, what all more and and technologically demanding. If they are significantly buoyant, you have to be absolutely buoyant to do this. Otherwise, if they've been fortunate to have two kids and they are healthy, I think they should thank God for having those two kids. Be happy with those two kids, because nobody, you see, the challenge with which child will become a sickle cell child, especially when it's an AS carrier, is if you do it blindly, you cannot predict. It's only God that knows who will be a boy and who will be a girl. It's only when they apply the technological arm of it, mean if they do an IVF or yeah, that they can determine the genotype or the sex of this child before time. Otherwise, it's difficult, unless it's still going to continue to be event by luck or event by chance. Because when you copulate with your wife and you deliver a child who is an AS or an IS, who is going to be an AS or an SS, it's by chance. That is beyond scientific power. That is divine. That belongs to God alone. But otherwise, if they are financially buoyant, then they can approach the fertility centers where they can do sperm watch, identify the genotype of the sperm and the egg before insemination, so that they can continue to deliver an healthy child. But that's the only way for now. Hello? Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello, doctor. Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
yes, I
Okay,
can hear
sorry
you now.
about that. Sorry about that.
Mm.
So I thank you for that clarification. We have another question here from Oyediran Esther. She's asking,
Yeah.
is symptoms of AS like that of
Like that
SS?
of SS. The truth is that AS is absolutely different from SS. But however, you have about less than 1% of AS. That's when you take the pool of AS, less than
Okay.
1% of AS can manifest like SS, because it's the proportion of the S of the S related red cell that is available at a particular point in time. But it's not common for AS to have the manifestations of SS. It is very rare. Less than 1% is almost impossible. That's it. But that 1%, in my practice, I've come across one or two children who are AS, and they tend to once in a while have the manifestations of SS. It is understandable because they carry the gene, so they still have a percentage of SS in their blood. And if that SS proportion goes up at any point in time, it could also manifest as SS, but it's very rare.
Wow, I didn't know that,
Yeah.
AS carriers can also manifest.
Yeah,
I have
it's
learned a
absolutely
lot today.
rare. It's less than
Wow.
1% of them that will, less than 1%. That is to say, if in a population of 200 of how many million, of 200 million, before you get an AS that will do that, you first find the proportion of a of AS in the population, 2% of 2 to 3% of 200 billion, and you now find 1% of that. That is almost, it's very rare, really. So I think I've been opportune in my practice to come across those two that I came across.
Wow. Thank you, doctor. Raquel Gold is asking, what is the symptoms of sickle cell anemia?
Okay. Okay, we've said this earlier. We'll just revert back in time, since our audience wants that. The symptom of sickle cell anemia, like I said, can be divided into, if you want to look at it either by manifestation, so you could look at it, but the body first is pain. The hallmark of sickle cell anemia is pain. Pain in the hand, pain in the leg, pain anywhere in sickle cell anemia. So the hallmark of sickle cell anemia is pain. So pain, you have pain syndromes. They have what you call pain syndromes. The acute onset pain, or some of them have what you call chronic pain. Chronic pain means the pain seems never to go. It's there. So that's one. Two is anemic crisis, because from even the word sickle cell anemia, from anemia. So they could have anemic crisis, which is say they could have hemolytic crisis. They could break down their red cell faster than expected, even below the 30 days average life. And so they could come down with sudden onset, difficulty in blood bleeding, they become very white. Sometimes they pass dark colored urine. These are manifestations of anemia. And then under anemia also, because I said the spleen is a filter of the body and a reservoir of the body. When the sickle cell are in excess, it can push out, take out that sickle cell in excess. And once it does that, because they are red cell, they will also come down with anemia. The other form of anemia is the one that is related to infection. When they have parvovirus infection, that's a viral infection, which will also cause sudden quiescent or silence of the bone marrow, because the bone marrow is where red blood cell is produced. The other manifestations is they could have acute chest syndrome, sudden onset difficulty in breathing with pain is always a big problem. The person is having difficulty, cannot breathe. It's a lot of painful breathing, and this is an emergency that needs to be attended to. They could also have other manifestation is they could also have stroke. Stroke in sickle cell is one of the common causes of stroke. They could have that. It's also a big problem. They could have sudden break of the bone that supports the hip. We call it avascular necrosis. Inability, avascular means inability of blood to get to the head of the hip bone. If that happens and it continues to happen, it could lead to a fracture or a loss of that, and then that becomes the need to have support to walk. They are also predisposed to infection. It's a big problem, because it's not just a problem with the red cell. It has been shown that it goes beyond the red cell. That in sickle cell anemia, they also have the inability to attack some particular organisms. So they are more predisposed to some infections than the general population. So these are few of the manifestations of sickle cell anemia. It goes beyond more than that. It's just not to bother the people with the manifestation of sickle cell. In fact, if you read sickle cell from today to tomorrow, they keep evolving, the knowledge keep evolving. There are some manifestations I cannot tell you, so that I will not compound the understanding of our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. So Raquel Gold is also asking,
Okay.
and what should you do when the crisis starts? I know you've answered that.
First is prevention. We've talked about prevention extensively now. The water, the folic acid, vitamin B, the moderation in life. Plan yourself ahead of time. Avoid excessive activity, and which is now, if anybody comes down with pain, the first thing is, once you are still within your house, we say sometimes this pain, you can easily manage it at home. We encourage them to increase. If, for example, the person has been taking 3 liters of water, we say increase the volume of water so that your blood can flow better. Because you understand that the sickling is the inability of the blood to flow. That is a big challenge here. So increase the volume of water intake. Get good analgesia. Both importantly, ibuprofen, analgesia, it's okay, because sometimes there is severity of pain, paracetamol will not do it. That's the truth. So once you note it, and there are premonitions. These pains can be preempted. There are preemptive signs to this pain in some of them. Sometimes they know when they're about to have crisis. So once you notice you're about to have crisis as an adult, you slow down a bit. Reevaluate yourself, increase your fluid intake, ensure you take your drugs regularly, and rest. But once the crisis sets up, you increase the fluid intake, take and get a good analgesia. If, however, the pain goes beyond a 24-48 hours range, then it is time to move on to see an expert or to see a doctor who can help you to manage, because sometimes you need to admit them to change the fluid from oral to intravenous fluid so that you can better get this fluid going. You might need to change the analgesia from low level pain to pain managers to high level pain resoluters. So these are, but first line, increase the fluid intake at home, give yourself analgesia, and take few steps back and rest. It's important. But this is for pain. But when you're having manifestations like acute chest syndrome, sudden onset weakness of one part of the body, please, this cannot be managed at all. These prompt actions have to be taken, and this patient needs to get to the hospital as soon as possible because it could be deadly. And if it's not promptly managed, if it's not timely intervention is not instituted, we might be talking about mortality or debilitating morbidities, which nobody prays for. Like we say, the aim of all this is to ensure that people with sickle cell anemia live a normal life or close to normal life like any other person. There is sickle cell is accepting
Hello.
it, living within your limit, accepting your own challenges, and looking for how to overcome these challenges, apart from the medical advice that we given.
Thank you, doctor. So
Yes.
now we are more informed and know what to do if our children or anyone we know that has sickle cell anemia has crisis. Okay, Dr. Raji is asking, is there AC genotype?
Yes. Now, we talked about sickle cell anemia. I said, you might remember when I started talking, I said sickle cell anemia is a subset of sickle cell disease. I hope you remember that. And now,
Yes.
so there are different forms of genotype. There is AA genotype, there is AS genotype, there is AC genotype, there is AD genotype, there is SC genotype, there is SD genotype. The knowledge, even there is S thalassemia. So
Wow.
genotype is vast. So there is a genotype we call, yes, there is AC, because an AC means it's also a form, it's like somebody is an AS. It's because there is a mutation in one of the protein that will make the person an AA. The person now becomes an AC or an AS or an AD. Similarly, like an SS, an SC, an SD also.
Wow. Interesting. We have another question here from Shukura Adeyemi. The person is asking, is SS genotype same as AC?
Okay. No, SS genotype is not the same as AC. Like I said, now, thank God for this question. Now, the sickle cell disease itself, sickle cell anemia is the commonest. That's the SS. Now you have SC. It's a form of sickle cell disease, but it's not as severe as sickle cell anemia, which is SS. I hope you understand me. Sickle cell disease is the gross heading. Under it, you have sickle cell anemia, which is when somebody inherits two SS. That's SS. The genotype is SS. If somebody inherits SC, SD, S thalassemia, they are sickle cell disease. They are other variants of sickle cell disease. They are not sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia is homozygous sickle cell, SS. So if somebody has an SC, he has sickle cell disease, but he does not have sickle cell anemia. I hope you understand my graph. The whole entity of sickle cell disease. If I have an SS, I'm a sickle cell anemia person. If I have an SC, it's also a form of sickle cell disorder, but it's called sickle cell disease because it's not homozygous. It's not 2S. And the manifestations are not as severe as the SS. So you can also have an SC and an SD. There are some people that are SC, there are some people that are SD. Their manifestations are not as severe as the SS also. But you have a few of them who have manifestations at the same par as that of the SS, but they are not very common.
Wow. So, doctor, in all this, it means SS is the one that manifests the worst, symptoms.
Yes, commonest in our environment and the one with the worst of manifestations. And that one, the manifestation starts early. But SC, sometimes they even don't pick it until later because they don't even their percentage is even less than the total population of SC is even less than the population of SS. And some tribes don't even have the SC. For example, it's commoner in the south. Apart from SS, commoner in Nigeria, SC is commoner in the south and the southern part of the country. We divide it on the borders of north and south. The northerners don't tend to have more of SC. So those of us who are on the southern terrain tend to have more of SC compared to northerner. But SS itself is pan, is across the nation. Hello, ma. Are you there, ma?
I can hear me. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you absolutely clear, ma.
Okay. Thank you for that, sir. So we have another question here from Fanny Blessing. She's asking, what is the implication of having AC genotype?
The only implication, the truth is that, like I said, an AC and an AS can live like an AA. The only implication is that when you now get in love, when you fall in love, when it's time to settle down, either with your husband or with your wife, please, before you go deep into this relationship, ensure that the person is not an SS, or the person is not an AS, or the person is not an SC, or the person is not an SD. Those are the challenges. So it is advisable that an AC or an AS should marry an AA, or an SS should marry an AAA, not an AS. So it is your choice of partnership that matters.
Okay, so doctor, the AC carriers don't fall sick as often.
They don't, like I said, even the AS, I said less than 1%. Less than that 1% means that by the time you fraction the population that carries the trait, you now get 1% of them. It's almost not there, really. That's the truth. So the same with an AC. They can live their normal life. They don't come down with crisis. Like they really have such complaints about that the sickle cell we have. So it's just when they're about to settle down, they must make appropriate choice. They must make calculated decisions on their partners.
Okay, thank you, doctor. Modupe Gafa is asking, can a sickle cell patient take natural safe aid? I mean herbs.
Okay. The world of herbs remains a bit debatable in the orthodox medicine. But like they will say, the sickle cell before now were known as the abikus, the ogbanges, when we didn't have knowledge. And they thought maybe when they give them herbs, they will survive. But they realized they will not survive. The herbs that they take can also be a big problem to the lifespan of the red blood cell. Because some of these herbs are initiators to the excessive breakdown of the red cell, which we call hemolytic crisis. So therefore, it's advisable to live within safe entity and avoid anything that will induce, that will precipitate, that will cause sudden or rapid breakdown of the red blood cells. So that's it. So otherwise, if you're asking as a medical doctor, herbs are not absolutely advisable. The most important thing is to live healthy, eat healthy, drink healthy, and stay healthy. Don't take things that will potentiate or that will worsen the condition. So I would advise, please, herbs are not safe. It's better to live more healthier, unless you are sure of the consequence of these herbs. You see, there is a lot in the Nigerian market that we should not forget that some of the things that we even see NAFDAC gives out is only the approval that it is safe for consumption. But what of those that it is not safe for? I don't know who is not going to be safe for. So people need to be very careful with what we take. They need to understand what is the basis of what they are taking. What will it do to their health? Apart from even sickle cell, when people take injurious use of herbs of no origin, they are running problem of the kidney, double wahala. That's going to be a double wahala burden to the body when the kidney comes down heavy, because if it's getting toxic things into the body, don't forget that the end stage of clearance is the kidney. And the more the kidney gets toxic substance eats itself, the sooner the kidney gives way. And then we start looking for kidney transplant, dialysis. These are adequately not healthy. What we want for the sickle cell is to eat healthy. A lot of fruit, a lot of fluid, a lot of ensure their regular routine drugs, the folic acid, the vitamin B, And if you have an expert that feels a child is fit or somebody is fit to be on hydroxyurea, you use the hydroxyurea following the instructions and ensuring the close monitoring that are expected with all these management.
Okay, thank you so much, doctor. So we advised to be careful if you want to take herbs. In fact, doctor advises don't even take it. Just do what he said you should do to try to reduce the frequency of attack. So we have a question here from Shukura. The person is asking, what are the symptoms of AC?
Yes, the symptoms of SC are absolutely different from that of sickle cell, but
Okay,
they are not, like I said, their manifestation is not as prompt as that of sickle cell SS.
okay,
Commonly, they cause back pain, but they don't. It's not as frequent. Except so, pain is also one of their symptoms.
okay,
However, their most fearsome symptom is the lung problem. They will have pulmonary fibrosis as they grow older. So those are the things that are more challenging. But otherwise, most ST they live like every other person, but they could also, you have a few of them, I've met a few of them who have almost classical manifestation as that of the sickle cell anemia as the SS. So, but otherwise, it's not their manifestations on the global look is not as severe as those who have the SS, which is the homozygous sickle cell anemia.
okay. Thank you, doctor. So we have a question here from Ifoma. She's asking, please, sir, the use of Jobeline supplement, does it help to improve the immune system of a sickle cell person so as to minimize frequent crisis?
Jubilins are just nutritional supplements. Yes,
Okay,
the arguments for and against. I've seen papers that said it does help, and I've seen papers that say it does not help. But however, what I tell them, even if you are going to use your cyclavite, your Jobelin, please, for the sake of God, ensure you still take your routine folic acid, your vitamin B-co,
okay,
a lot of fluid, eat healthy, live healthy, stay healthy, even if you want to use your Jubilee or your cyclamine. That's my candid advice that I tell my own patients. That these remains debatable. They are supplements, which you can get from natural sources, fruit. Nigeria is absolutely rich. But like we said, we tap little. And the other thing is our mentality is that a lot of people they are drug associated, they are drug inclined. Everything has to be drug. Everything has to be drug. Yeah, not everything has to be drug. We are only
it's true.
let's take less of pills. Some of these things you can get from LD sources. So you have likes of Jubilee, Cyclabite, Immunocal, Immunocare. All these are not primarily for those who can afford it, yes. But don't forget, some people cannot afford it. So essentially, in the management of sickle cell anemia, in the prevention or limitation of crisis, in the insurance of a better life, what is expected is adequate fluid intake, a lot of fluid. You can diversify the waters. Natural water, your water in water is water. You get your natural fruits, pineapple juice, a lot of smoothie going on. They're also fluid. It's fluid we want. So watermelon is also fluid. Folic acid, vitamin B, co, dose, progranil where you are in the malaria endemic zone. If you are not in the malaria endemic zone, then you don't need the progranil. If you are plus or minus hydroxyurea, for those who can afford Jubilee, there is neither here nor there. They are all supplements.
Wow, thank you, doctor. ATPians, I told you that this session was going to be interesting. So our time is fast spent. We're rounding up now. Please, if you have any further questions, kindly post it to the ATP Facebook group page. Our moderators and professionals are on hand to answer your questions. So I will ask Dr. Salako to give us final words before we go.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege being on your program. Sickle cell anemia, Nigeria remains the mecca of sickle cell anemia. We see our government, our employment needs to do a lot to help people living with sickle cell anemia. But I remain, and I always say, sickle cell anemia is not a limitation to success. It's identifying that I am sickle cell patient, trying to live healthy, ensure regular food intake, ensure I use my routine drugs, the folic acid, the vitamin B-co. Regular medical checkups are of importance, essentially, and then these will translate into other things. When you pick symptoms, please ensure you present to the hospital promptly, and you are presenting to a place where they know their left from their right, where the expertise knows what he or she needs to do rightly. Otherwise, for those who are carrying the trait, please make concerted, calculated, and effort decisions before you settle in. Please let love not be blind, because when the pain comes with the child, it should not, sometimes it's absolutely unbearable. It's devastating, debilitating, and economically burdensome on the parents and the society. Please, we can't live, if you are sickle cell, you can live life well, and if you are carrying the trait, you can also take calculated decisions. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We are really, really, really glad that you're able to find time to join us and educate us. So before we go, ATP is going to schools for the Independence Day medical outreach. Kindly support us by sponsoring one child for 3,000 Naira. Donate to Ask the Pediatricians Foundation account. You can also donate via ATP mobile app using Paystack. You can also donate via global giving if you are outside the country. We would appreciate your support. For those that have been supporting us for our outreaches, we say thank you so much and God bless you. So thank you for joining us. Do have a great day. Thank you, Dr. Salako. God bless you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.